Hi, this is Rachel from readthehardparts.com. We're going to read Revelation 13. We're going to look to see what's in the chapter, and we're also going to look to find a verse we can meditate on for today. Chapter 13. And I saw a beast rising out of the sea with 10 horns and 7 heads, with 10 diadems on its horns and blasphemous names on its heads. And the beast that I saw was like a leopard. Its feet were like a bear's, and its mouth was like a lion's mouth. And to it, the dragon, gave his power and his throne and great authority. One of its heads seemed to have a mortal wound, but its mortal wound was healed, and the whole earth marveled as they followed the beast. And they worshipped the dragon, for he had given his authority to the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like the beast, and who can fight against it? And the beast was given a mouth utterly haughty and blasphemous words, and it was allowed to exercise authority for 42 months. It opened its mouth to utter blasphemies against God, blaspheming his name and his dwelling, and those who dwell in heaven. Oh, that is, those who dwell in heaven. Also, it was allowed to make war on the saints and to conquer them. And authority was given it over every tribe and people and language and nation. And all who dwell on the earth will worship it, everyone whose name has not been written before the foundation of the world in the book of life of the Lamb who was slain. If anyone has an ear, let him hear. If anyone is to be taken captive, to captivity he goes. If anyone is to be slain with the sword must he be slain. Here is a call for the endurance and faith of the saints. Then I saw another beast rising out of the earth. It had 2 horns like a lamb, and it spoke like a dragon. It exercises all the authority of the first beast in its presence, and makes the earth and its inhabitants worship the first beast, whose mortal wound was healed. It performs great signs, even making fire come down from heaven to earth in front of people. And by the signs that it is allowed to work in the presence of the beast, it deceives those who dwell on the earth, telling them to make an image for the beast that was wounded by the sword and yet lived. And it was allowed to give breath to the image of the beast, so that the image of the beast might even speak and might cause those who would not worship the image of the beast to be slain. Also, it causes all, both small and great, both rich and poor, both free and slave, to be marked on the right hand or the forehead, so that no one can buy or sell unless he has the mark, that is, the name of the beast or the number of its name. This calls for wisdom. Let the one who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his name is 66, and his number is 666. All right, that's Revelation chapter 13. Not really a happy chapter. A lot of people call this the counterfeit trinity, having this first beast, and then the dragon, which we know from chapter 12 to be Satan, and then also the second beast. See how there's 3 of them, and they're trying to mimic a lot of the things that they know that God can do. And even some of the phrases like, who is like the beast, who can fight against it, sounds like some of the praises given to God in other places in Revelation. So it's trying. This counterfeit trinity is trying. But of course, we know, as in the language that's used here, it was allowed to do things. We know that God is still really in control. Satan doesn't have power over God and his plan. We also see here this famous mark of the beast. I'm sure you've heard of that. And it also sounds like, it causes all, both small and great, to get it. But that's not to say that you're going to be strapped down and forced to get it. No, in this chapter, we see that there's 2 groups of people. We see those who have the mark of the beast. And from earlier on, we see those whose name has been written in the book of life and the Lamb who was slain. Also, if we peek ahead to Revelation 14, chapter 1, we see people who has his name, the Lamb's name, and the Father's name written on their forehead. So we see 2 groups of people. We see people who are part of the Lamb's book of life, who are Christians, those who trust in Jesus Christ as their Savior, and those who don't. And so often we look at the whole world and we think, there's all these religions out there, but we see here it really only boils down to 2 things. Do you trust in Jesus Christ as your Savior, or don't you? There's only those 2 groups. So what are we going to do about this chapter? What are we going to focus on? And here John has made it plain kind of what the focus is. Here is a call for the endurance and faith of the saints. And really that's our call. This is what we need to do. We need to endure during hard times if we happen to be on earth during this time. And just keep plugging on, having faith in God who really does have control, being part of making sure we trust the Lamb who was slain. The other thing I want to say about this chapter is, again, this is a lot of the imagery and kind of that hard thing. If you're not into fantasy literature, this might not excite your soul to have all these images here. But I just want to approach it as we know these things will be literally fulfilled. What God says will happen. We don't know exactly what this will look like. I know a lot of people have made guesses about what the mark of the beast looks like. I found this treasure of a book from 1986, and this is all warning us about debit cards and computers and how surely these are going to be the mark of the beast. I have a blog post kind of pointing out some things about here, but we see that as technology, kind of gets better over the ages. Every time something new comes along, somebody says, oh, surely this will bring about the mark of the beast. And here we are, still with no mark of the beast. But the bottom line is to have endurance, have faith, make sure you trust in Jesus Christ as your Savior. Comment below if you have any questions about this chapter, or comment below if you have something else that you focus on or can meditate on from this chapter. I'd like to hear from you.